including the likes of Mimaki, Dew Point, Cornet, Seba, Dicestar, and many more. Currently, is working as an MD who is working on his budgets, import and export, supply chains, and other management activities. So please put a hand together for Mr. Vinod Krishnamurthy.
Good afternoon, all of you. I hope nobody's sleepy after a good lunch. Firstly, I want to thank Tantu and all the sponsors for making this event and accept the disruption of the laptop that Mr. Sareen saw. I think the topics are very interesting. I wish the last panel was after my presentation, but nevertheless, I'll try my best that I skip some of the things which I was going to talk. Firstly, I want to just correct my brief introduction. I'm a technologist who started in '98 and brought digital printing to the country. I was called stupid. I didn't know that was disruption. For 11 years, we had a virtual monopoly in the country with over 750 plants. So you name any processing in any manufacturer, we gave them the technology. But 2014, I restructured the business because I realized that we were just being a trading company and our knowledge was too immense and we had a lot of application knowledge. So we diversified and we have today 3 verticals. We have a consulting firm where we do turnkey plants. Orient Fashion, recently I set up a plant. They do 4,000 meters a day, scalable to 12,000 meters a day, digital. I'm doing a project for South Exports, same, turnkey plant, A to Z. We diversified, building a technology which was taken over by Bob's Group. And they today are working towards building a single pass, which we're going to launch 2 beta sites next year. And we're actually going to replace rotary at 70 meters per hour, and I really mean it that 2 decades I've waited for this day, so we'll make a difference. Now, based on all my experience for 2 decades, I want to present some paper on the precious water, something that I've seen traveling all around. Can you just put this on slide? So firstly, I don't call digital printing anymore. I have decided that it is industrial inkjet because the inkjet industry is too vast. We are currently dealing with at least 17 different types of heads. And that means the applications today what we are covering is from textile, corrugated, label, packaging, pharma, almost all the segments. So when I say industrial inkjet for water crisis, now going to all the mills across India and of course, some of the mills, it's absolutely insane what you see. There's no value for water. I totally agree with the panelist who said there is no cost for water because it's an intangible. They keep wasting. There are a lot of photos I've taken in many places. Of course, I can't put it publicly because there are a lot of companies involved, but I try to take some of them which nobody will come behind me suing me. Now, data on current water usage. We're talking about close to 450 billion liters of water being wasted. And that's a lot of water. And when you see the study globally, we realize, why are we here? That's a very big question. I've met a lot of people all over the world, big companies. I deal with brands, manufacturers. And something that I've realized is, it's capitalism to profit. Last 2 decades. Everybody wants to be, of course the Americans were the most into being capitalist, but then I think the whole world is got into that. We all want to make a lot of money, so produce, make money, produce, make money. Now in that process, we've ignored the cost, most critical cost, because when you see a cost sheet, you never see somebody write up, oh, water is 5 rupees a liter, or any other resource. There are many intangible, resources that they don't write at all. And there was a question that I wanted to ask the panel, which, was curious for me, is that, do retailers really pay for that? Because normally government exporters, what I've understood is, they sell a product and it is 5 times what they retail. So when they do that, are they agreeing to pay the price? Because it's always a price war. The buyer wants cheap, cheap, cheap. So obviously, I can understand the pressure and they squeeze down to whatever the tangible is and say, this is the cost I want to manufacture. So it's very critical for me, at least. I would love to understand if Mr. Sareen knows or anybody knows that the retailer is really willing to pay that money to the manufacturer, or there's a bridge. I think that's a root cause, critical cause, and I'm trying to fight that because we're trying to make a difference. Recently I had a presentation with Levi's. in Bangalore. They asked me about how they could use the Aeon digital printer for mass volume, and I actually sat up and explained them how the technology is. And they have agreed that they will agree to the costs and leverage that business to any vendor who will put up a setup for them. So I'm making that marriage happen so that they actually realize that they need to pay a cost for this. Only then we can save on resources. The other interesting thing that I've seen is, I'm sure Mr. Sarin knows more about VCs. He's living in the US.
More money is here now.
I know, but I'm talking about the VCs who are investing. They're always investing in tech. Now, I had a lot of debate with some friends I know. We were talking about, and I believe the next thing after capitalism is going to be climate capitalism. I can bet on it next 5 to 10 years, VCs will be funding any small tech company that's going to come and make a difference to the climate. Any entrepreneurs, youngsters, I think if they come up with technology, we have put a small incubation center within our business. I've got 2 kids who are just coordinating with me, and we have a couple of companies who are into water treatment, and we are working with them because eventually we can pass this technology when we do plants. But the idea is that climate capitalism is going to be a big subject because we need to spend money. Everybody needs to spend money, and all companies in India have to have their own R&D, improvisation, to learn, to build, to change. I think that's something very little you see, except the big companies who have the muscle, the resources. So if you see solar energy, I've taken as an example, it's a very interesting how solar has quickly expanded in India because everybody realized the value of solar energy. So the same, I hope it happens to water. We're talking about up to $40 trillion business. Now, how can digital printing save water? Now, this is a question a lot of people ask me. Everybody writes in articles, digital printing can save water, but how? So I put some technical data so that you can understand. Now, traditional dye has a lot of impurities. You've got calcium, magnesium, a lot of salts, and you just take that paste, put a lot of alginate, a lot of thickeners, and apply 200, 300%, and you don't care about the exhaustion, and you simply steam wash, and whatever goes off goes in the gutter. Now, on the other hand, in inkjet, we're talking about dyes less than 250 ppm. And I even did an analysis, very, very confidential data we gathered, where we found that the amount of water used for ROing and purifying dyes is much lesser than the amount of water that's going. It's almost 1/10. So I still can go ahead with inkjet printing as a solution as of date, unless we find some more technologies. We're talking about, washing exhaustion. I've been to so many mills. Now we are working with and making a difference with some of the washing companies in India. And we told them that the lines you make are too big. You don't really need that. Because in inkjet, you are throwing only 18% of dye stuff diluted on a fabric with a density control. So you actually know how much ink you want to throw. And we have done tests where we have shown people what you print and how much you wash off, and you can see the water. So this is a subject where you can really make a difference if you use it right. Of course, you make a wrong profile, you put 400% density without logic, the fiber can't take it, it's going to go in the gutter. But the technology helps. There is a lot of saving that we've seen. In fact, Orient obviously does not show the plant, but we have the smallest washing line of just 12 feet. And I had to build that with a foreign alliance because the Indian alliances were not willing to. And now I have Menzel talking to me and working with me to build a smaller line. So bulky machines, large volume of water, hodis like we call in Surat, they don't care. They just build hodis because the water is free, put the water, it goes in a motor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and wash. They don't give a damn. They write 10 liters a meter, but we are studying 30 liters a meter. They're doing wash off. So we are working with global companies. We are not trading company. We don't work today anymore as a trader. As a technologist, we are also consultants to Fujifilm, Asia Pacific. We build their dispersion crew. We're working with them on R&D, application development. Same way we tied up with Movent, which is a Swiss giant bob screw. They are a 130-year-old company, close to 4 billion, and they rule the packaging world, and they wanted to get into digital. Apparently, we were building a technology with smaller footprint, and they took over the company. And with this company, we are building up the single pass, which we believe next year there will be 2 beta sites in India, and we would actually partner with the company. So we will invest 50% of the money and print to pay and build and create that real knowledge of how rotary can be replaced. Then we have Aeon. I have Johannes from Aeon today, luckily with me. We just put a machine in Arvind mill. They're multiplying more machines. And we've given a concept where you can actually do pigment printing on garments, denim. You don't need wash off. You have no water usage. and they've loved it. They're already aggressively gone in for 4-5 machines, so I think second machine comes this month, and so we believe that kind of future is something we're working on. And with Aeon again, we are setting up an R&D center because we realized that pigments could work for a lot of other applications which they don't have the resources. So we're setting up an R&D center where we're going to work with new pigment developments on different, fibers and products. Apparently, try to see the reach goes more forward. So what we've tried to do is whatever little we've analyzed. Of course, data collection is a big business today, so getting data is also not easy. We are able to at least make a difference with 35 to 40% water usage in the textile industry. So digital can make a difference. And we'll keep working, how much ever we can contribute, at least we will do. And I believe that's something important, and with the government getting strict and the problems there, I think everybody's going to look at digital. And we would also be very interested to work with the buying houses and manufacturers to make sure that the technology is understood. Because I also hear a lot of people say, oh, digital is scary, we lose heads. It's the same situation where nobody tells them how to manage a head or offer the cost of the head in the cost. So my request is we need to save water, we need to save the earth, and we are at least as a company trying our best to get involved as a technology company to work with a lot of companies and create value that we can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have you done some cost analysis on this?
I can give you a full project report because I do plants. Nobody better than me.
Rotary versus...
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd love to have that.
Please.
Can I ask, because I think he has finished in time, so I think we can ask.
Yes, I kept it brief because everybody after lunch I
Okay.
want to bore anybody.
Just can you tell me globally how much percentage is traditional printing and how much is digital now?
See, today it's gone to up to 5%, to be honest. But the challenge is, you see, the deterrent is only two factors I can say. One is, no retail brand is willing to pay more than 5-10%. That's a huge problem. Because even in ITMA there was a presentation where the brand said, we'll pay 10% max, but 5% is only what we're willing to pay. Now that can't justify inkjet today, at least because the head companies are not reducing cost. The day head companies reduce the cost, this percentage goes up to 20-25%.
Yeah,
so I hope head companies do that.
Because some of the calculations saying, people are saying it's only 3%. So even
See,
if it grows
it is
100%,
but
then still in the next 5 years.
It is 3 to 4%.
Okay,
Now
yeah.
what we have done in Moment, something very interesting I'll tell you. 4 years I was not active in the market. So everybody thought Vinod has gone out of the market. We worked on building cluster. The concept of cluster was that today what we are selling in Moment, we are giving a machine with full warranty for 3 years. So that the head cost is out.
Okay.
So what happens is the confidence is built and then people will buy more technology. So the challenge today is the heads have scared so much, so many people have shut down machines, and I get calls where we go revamp, help them, guide them, that percentage is not increasing. So hopefully, I believe it will.
Okay, thank you.
And what about the ink cost? Is it really justified compared to rotary?
Today you are getting inks at 1200 to 1600. 1.2 rupees an ml, I throw 6 ml, it's nothing. The problem is that how much ever you give, they are stuck on to ink cost. I think ink has hit the bottom. If tomorrow I have to launch an 800 rupee ink to make a rotary work, I will do that in India. But question is whether the purity of dye is there, whether it's going to last on the head, whether I have enough dye loading. There are people who are reducing cost of ink by reducing dye loading. From 18% they put 12% and they say my ink is 1200. Now, that's not good. So if you put the balance in place, it's very much possible. I don't think ink is a problem anymore.
Could I add something to that?
Please, sir, please.
In all the conventional printing, there are minimum buys.
Yes.
So especially in the print technology, I have a client in Sri Lanka who makes 1 million dresses, but his average cut size is between 300 to 1200 garments. So if he needs 968 garments, and he had to buy minimum 2,000 yards, he's got leftover yardage. Then he's going to sell that for much lower price. So when you compare the total cost of that style, is actually way more than he just printing 968 yards. So you've got to look at the bigger picture other than think like the Americans, which they are even rethinking. My cost from Bangladesh is X. But what is the cost of doing business in Bangladesh? What my average paid cost? Then you look at what my cost is from Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or India.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you start looking at other things, other factors. Same thing with the fabric utilization. add on to your waste factor, I was shocked this last month. I had to buy some broadwood carpet for a trade show. And this is a 3% surcharge which is going to be for landfills. So as a consumer, we are paying. I know that we go buy sodas or something, we have to pay 5 cents a bottle deposit.
So you said
So then we
carpet,
can
sir.
come back and return those and collect our 5 cents back, because then they can send it to the recycling or whatever they need to do rather than we throwing it away. So they are giving the incentive by taking the 5 cents deposit, but giving you the 5 cents back, okay? So there's a way to handle all the wastage without having to worry about
True. And
retailer
you said about carpet, I'll give you an example. I have a 100-year-old Indian company. I've got a project we're working on with Aeon, and we are building a printer to put it in the US. And you'll be shocked that we worked out as a project, they want to have only white carpets available in the US, and the customer demands, and they can give. So it's changing, absolutely. But they need a full handing support. They told me 2 years they've been struggling to find somebody who could help them implement the project. And we actually spent time in first identifying the process, then to go ahead with the actual project. So I believe Inkjet will work very well if there are more and more companies who get fully involved in giving a solution rather than just trying to trade off a machine. So that's the challenge. Yeah.
Vinodji,
Yep, please.
typically in country like India where the entrepreneur is capital shy,
Yes.
what kind of uptake is there for uptake is
See,
there for this, notwithstanding in the opening remarks you said that they have
Yes,
scant
absolutely.
respect for the water, which
So,
is all intangible.
I was in Bombay last week. I met a team of 10 people. They have a group of 500 people who are VCs. And some of them know me, so as friends we met. And they actually told me, Vinod, you find people who are willing to do this, we will fund them, we'll incubate them. Second, we've tied up with Tata Capital, for all the, with zero down payment. So we are working and we are trying. If there is sense of passion and deliverability, I'm sure resources will come. The point is that should be visible. Please.
What is the cost component of ink per meter?
So normally you need, depending on the printhead and the drop size you fire, you could do as low as 3 to 4 ml. You can go maximum up to 12 ml, which is more than enough for any thick fabric to put a square meter, with ink. So it is very subjected to the head. So if you take a head which is a drop size of 2.5, 3 picoliter, you probably will be throwing 3-4 grams of ink in a lower drop size. Higher drop size you can go up to 12 grams max. I'm talking about a solid blotch.
And value-wise?
Value wise, sir, if it's a 1200 rupee ink at 1.2 rupees, you can multiply by 12, you know the answer. But that's in the smaller and the mid-sized machines. If I'm talking about single pass, I know that I'll have to bring the cost at 800 rupees a liter to make sure that it can match rotary. That's already understood.
That is the challenge.
Yeah. No, we're already working on it. Next year we will have a beta site in India. And just to inform that we were the first international beta site for Movent in the world. We ran a machine for 1 year before we launched the product, and we beta tested and fixed everything, and I call it, we tropicalized the machine for India.
I have a question on,
Please, sir.
are you able to now print direct on cotton without washing it?
Yes, correct, absolutely.
So, when you're comparing rotary versus your inkjet,
Yes.
a lot of brands, retailers, the acceptance is because of the final look of the print. The final look what you get in conventional printing versus your digital or inkjet. First problem is probably we don't effectively cannot make thicker fabrics. The back side remains white. The hanger appeal loses when you hang it in a showroom. The back side
Sure,
looks white.
sure.
We can't manufacture or we can't probably effectively make very loosely constructed fabrics like chiffons and georgettes, or maybe fabrics which are very not very stable. So any further improvement on those
So
lines?
I will answer in very simplified way. The biggest challenge that I see, again capitalism. Companies make a machine, they pump money, they want numbers, and they're selling a machine with one head. There are 17 heads I'm working with. There is drop size, there is resolution, there is kilohertz. I'm working with a 100 kilohertz head with 2.5 picoliter. We're the first. Kyocera today people are running 30 kilohertz. Kyocera cannot even fire 5 people to drop size. The problem is there's nobody to tell them what you're buying. Arvind bought a Zimmer machine, okay, with a Starfire hat. I'm a Fuji consultant, it's a Starfire hat. So we got a call from Fuji that, Vinod, you got to go and meet them. And they showed me yarn dyes and checks. They wanted to simulate. I said, sir, who told you to buy this head? Sorry, I can make it 30 to 50%. I can never make it 90%. You got the wrong head. So the challenge is who's going to educate them. Each printed has an application, and no printed company is going to sit and do that. They give it to the OEM. OEMs make machine, they are in a hurry to sell the machine. Who's going to sit and actually explain what you're buying? So that is what we are. That's why I said we're the first company who's only interested in doing a full project. We don't want to sell a product. We don't want to be a trading company selling a machine. If a client tells me what he wants to achieve, I will backward integrate and make sure he achieves. And that's what we've done in Orient, that's what we've done in Sau, that's what I've done in Noorwheel, that's what I did in Mars. Mars has 3 A1 machines. Printing undergarments, and they have a camera system and they can print and match the stripes. So the idea is you want to follow this trend. That's the idea. And these are addressable issues. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I would request Mr. Prashanta Sarkar to present a memento to Mr. Vinod Krishnamurthy. Now I gladly welcome Mr. Rahul Mahajan, Head Sales and Marketing, Datatex on the dais. He is a textile engineer from DKTE and he has done his post-graduation from NIFT, New Delhi. He has worked in woven fabric, knit and denim apparel manufacturing industry. He has been working with Datatex in the areas of software implementation and sales for more than 10 years. Datatex is recognized as a global leader in developing information technology solutions for the textile and apparel industries for its large global customer base, latest technology platforms and state-of-the-art textile management systems.